What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you? Not so subtle exposition. Can I come in? Sweetie? Oh come on mom. You know father died 3 years ago in a car crash and nothing we do can change that. Quote. When someone throws a grenade into a building and manages to make a nuclear-level explosion out of it. High schoolers who look like fluffing supermodels. I hate how every lock can be broken by shooting a single round at it. High school classroom. Teacher sitting on desk. Bell rings. Everyone jumps up and heads for the door. Teacher bellows, and don't forget the blah 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 next Tuesday. Quote. Finding a parking place directly in front of the business you need to visit. WTF. That's about as realistic as the bad guys firing 23 bullets at the good guy and missing him every time. When they dive through glass panes and come out without a scratch on the other side. Gunfire in enclosed spaces followed by conversation. Gunfire is fluffing loud and after a Hollywood firefight without ear protection. All you'd hear is MAWP MAWP MAWP. People turning their heads around to talk for extended periods while driving. Focus on the road, God darn it. Guns that click every single time they're pointed at someone. Also whenever someone is threatening another person at gunpoint, then they chamber around. When government agents show up in a foreign country and have a shootout with the bad guys out in public, the shootout ends. The world moves on. And the government agents return back to the office to talk about what to do next. 1. This never happens like it does in the movies, 2. If it ever did, it would be all over the news in every country. Everyone would know who the government agents are. Countries would be having to resolve diplomatic nightmares. And the agents would probably not be in the field again for quite some time. Anything medical related, you don't defibrillate, shock, a flat line. It won't work. In horror movies when someone's running from the bad guy and they fall and start crawling. Get up and run, stupid. Or the poor, unpopular kid in teen movies. You know, the one with a 2-story house and garden and his own car and well-off parents who's a fluffing heartthrob. Or any movie where they make a huge butt breakfast and the guy walks out the door eating some toast. All that perfectly good food. Gone. Anything to do with scheduling students in a high school. They always seem to have 5-minute-long classes, 15-minute-long passing time between classes, and 2 hours for lunch. Female action stars performing crazy action scenes without their hair tied up out of their face. Using the defibrillator when the patient is flatlining. The defibrillator is used when the electrical charges in the heart is going bananas. Not when there's no electrical charge at all. Deleted. Horses pointlessly neighing in movies. I've been around horses for 20 years. Every time a horse comes onto the screen, a neigh will happen as if to signify, yes, this is a horse. The only time my horses make a sound is if I'm bringing food, or taking one away to exercise it, and the others call for it. Some horses are more vocal than others, but they're aren't that vocal. The incredible ability to zoom into photographs and/or CCTV footage to an almost cellular level, and still have a crystal clear image. Bonus points if the revealed images of the perp on a reflected surface, such as sunglasses. Look, if you just let me explain. No, I don't want to hear anything you have to say, but SLAM, I would say that the plot in at least 70% of movies and almost 90% of television shows would be resolved if people took 30 seconds to listen to each other. In real life, I have never once experienced this. I've had people tell me that they didn't want to hear what I said, but that sure as fluff didn't stop me from saying it. Assertion is something people do in real life. Whenever people like Jack Bauer just call for some 3D building plans to be sent to his cell phone. Typically, architecture, engineering firms don't send out their CAD files to anyone. And if they did send those files out, there is no reason for some government agency to have them unless the building was owned by that agency. And they probably wouldn't be 3D, though that is becoming more popular. In reality, Jack's friends would call up the building owner, who would put them in touch with the building engineer. Then the building engineer would act like he's too busy to help with anything. At some point you may get some drawings from him this year. They will be scanned PDFs. A lot of them will be illegible. They will also most likely be out of date. Then when Mr. Bauer is crawling up around in the ductwork, he'd probably find himself face to face with security bars that are in place to keep people from crawling in the ductwork. And that's if the ductwork is even big enough to have a full-grown man in them, let alone able to support the weight, and #X200B. Also, government labs. They aren't high-tech, black-walled, futuristic superlab. They are nondescript brick buildings with no windows and furniture from 1985. Sword fights where the people spin and flip all over the place. That strangling people kills them in a few seconds. A guy can strangle someone to death in 15 seconds and move on. In reality, it can take full minutes of strangling someone to kill them. This year they never get tired from all that effort. When the BTK killer started out, he tried to strangle a family to death one by one. But instead of killing them, he was just knocking them out. So once he moved on to the third person, the first was waking up again. Movies just make those scenes last a few seconds because it would be a boring scene to watch. When there is a scene where people from another country speak their language with an American accent, like they don't even bother checking if the accent is authentic. I'm just your average teen that plays guitar, sings, skates, paints, is loved by everyone, and yet I still have no friends. Edit. Wow, 1,300 upvotes. This is easily my most upvoted comment, and I feel like this gives me some moderate ability to flex on others. Thank Reddit. A young person with a garbage tea job in a big apartment with no roommates. Edit. Sorry guys, I forgot about rent control. Little one-horse towns where you can rent a 12-bedroom house for one straw penny, and rich parents that make you work a garbage tea job to build character but still pay for your rent in a big apartment in LA or NYC. Going from getting the wind knocked out of you to back in the action in less than 5 seconds. Edit. Maybe this wasn't entirely clear to some. I was kinda referencing like in movies where an ordinary or middle-aged man falls like 2 stories and lands on his back and recovers immediately. I get when you play sports your body is more conditioned to take hits. But in many cases in movies they're given iron lungs and spines. It's not something that drives me berserk or anything when I see it. I just see it happen in a lot of movies and just chuckle. Radio talk among military personnel. Anyone who has had any experience with radio language knows you never ever say over and out. Over means you have finished talking and now the other person can speak. Out means the transmission is ended. So over and out means I have finished talking, now you can talk. This transmission is over. Not something seen but heard. Every computer text makes a high-pitched whine when being displayed. Every time someone pulls out a gun it has a cocking sound. Fuck you Foley artists. The Wilhelm scream isn't the only sound effect we're tired of. Get a new creaky door closing sound. Get more than 3 different cat noises. Go and record a new thunderstorm sound. Stop using mechanical grinding gears as the monsters roar. If movies can have 18 different CG effects studios working on a single film, they can at least hire someone who doesn't use a royalty-free sound effect compilation CD they bought off of Amazon 12 years ago. Programmers not making typos while they code edit. First gold. Thank you stranger. One guy fighting an army of 50 people and killing them all. Thug boss, you've got 24 hours to sort this out. Quote. When they just arrive home and not a second later the doorbell rings and they act all surprised on. Who could it possibly be? There is no way you didn't see them right behind you walking up to your door. When a smart person is a scientist who knows science, in reality, scientists don't really have that much in-depth knowledge outside of their field of expertise. That's also why the mad scientist archetype doesn't work. You can't be an expert in chemistry, robotics, physics, biology, and mathematics and fashion whatever you want. You need a team for complicated inventions.